This week has been a nonstop humiliation for Donald Trump and everyone in his administration, and JD Vance just got in on the action because during a family visit to what should be the happiest place on earth, JD Vance had a very unhappy time getting booed, protested, and mocked to his face at Disney during a trip in California. We're going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, you would think that Vance visiting California, most of the boos and protests would be coming from Democrats, but right now, that is not the case, with MAGA freaking out over an Epstein scandal that JD Vance is just as involved in as Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, and Kash Patel. And part of the reason he was booed starts with what Tucker Carlson had to say right here.
We knew that. But the fact that the U.S. government, the one that I voted for, refused to take my question seriously and instead said, "Case closed, shut up, conspiracy theorist," was too much for me. And I don't think the rest of us should be satisfied with that. And by the way, let me just...
Now, of course, Tucker is not the only one in MAGA demanding answers, and they should come from JD with tweets like this. What possible interest would the U.S. government have in keeping Epstein's client secret? Oh, and this video on Theo Von's podcast.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list.
So JD Vance, much like everyone in MAGA world, especially those in Donald Trump's White House, has played into Jeffrey Epstein conspiracy theories, all for them to come back and bite him in the ass. And this continues to happen to JD Vance as he's really more thinking about 2028 than he is today. Donald Trump has screwed him over left and right. Look at his war with Iran. JD casting the tie-breaking vote on the worst piece of legislation we have seen in modern American history in Donald Trump's big ugly bill, and now he has to defend the Epstein scandal. JD Vance is getting screwed, and so as you can imagine, he's trying to throw red meat to the base to keep them happy with him, and we saw that the last time he was in California, which is important context for why people were so upset with him being there now.
People have been egged on by local officials. Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass, by treating this city as a sanctuary city, have basically said that it is open season on federal law enforcement. They have treated Border Patrol and border enforcement as somehow an illegitimate force instead of what they are, which is the American people's law enforcement trying to enforce the American people's laws. So when Gavin Newsom encourages violence and rioting, when he encourages people to get in the face of our great Border Patrol officers, he is absolutely endangering the lives of federal enforcement. He's absolutely endangering the lives of mothers and daughters and fathers and sons who have been sent here to do a simple thing: enforce the law. And thank God they're willing to do it despite the fact that the local leadership of this community has made it harder on them and has in fact endangered their lives as they go about to do their important work.
JD Vance saying that Gavin Newsom was instructing people to beat up cops when he has defended every action Donald Trump took on January 6th and is part of the administration that pardoned 1,500 cop-beating insurrectionists. Does this not sound ridiculous to anyone else? Of course, it's hypocrisy from JD Vance, but what else have we come to expect from this slimy guy? It's no shock. It's no shock to any of us, which is why Gavin Newsom has started hitting back at JD for a whole host of reasons, but of course, his trip to Disney, which ultimately backfired on him, as we can see right here. Gavin Newsom wrote on Twitter, JD is back in California. He won't take this time to debate and defend gutting Medicaid systems, taking away kids' school meals, militarizing America's streets, or adding trillions to the debt. Instead, he's off to Disneyland, probably to detain Mickey Mouse at this rate. Governor Newsom's press office also clapped back at a pic of Vance, writing 35% of Anaheim's residents are immigrants. Disneyland doesn't run without them. Enjoy their labor, JD Vance. But of course, the real pain and hardship for Vance came from the hundreds who turned out to protest his family vacation at Disney. After news that Vice President JD Vance had a family visit planned to Disneyland, hundreds of people turned out to protest his trip to the happiest place on earth, while Trump's administration's immigration policies result in ICE raids across LA. No family vacation while we deal with family separation, read one sign, a protester adorned with Vance's face. Protesters gathered outside the nearby Grand Californian Hotel hotel where the vice president and his family were staying, waving flags and chanting. I would tell Vance to go home, one protester told Fox 11. Get the hell out of here. We don't want him.
Mr. Vice President, we support immigrants. We support America. We support immigrants. We support America. I thought California was violent.
Just incredibly delicious stuff. And I completely agree. While families are being separated by JD Vance and an administration without empathy, why does he get to peacefully enjoy his little vacation, his little photo ops? I don't think so. This administration's policies are evil, they are abhorrent, and they need to be called out, which is some of what we saw from Kristi Noem being grilled on Meet the Press this morning, not just for her illegal ICE raids, but her failure to address the flooding in Texas. And I want to take a look.
Just very quickly, I mean, disasters often cost millions, if not billions of dollars. You've acknowledged there is this policy you implemented to sign off on contracts that exceed $100,000. Why add extra red tape when there is a crisis of this magnitude?
It's not extra red tape. It's making sure everything is getting to my level and that it's immediately responded to. This was not slowed down at all. In fact, it was much more responsive. If you remember, I was there. I was standing right there long before this report ever came out, and people were asking, and we were granting permission in real time. So the false reporting has been something that is inappropriate, and it's something that I think we need to clear up, and that this response was by far the best response we've seen out of FEMA, the best response we've seen out of the federal government in many, many years, and certainly much better than what we saw under Joe Biden.
Two more quick ones on FEMA, then we need to get to deportation. Senator Elizabeth Warren is calling for you to resign. Your response, is there any chance you would resign?
No, there's not, and I hadn't heard that, but, I don't care what she thinks.
Very quickly, we have heard President Trump, we have heard you say that ultimately FEMA needs to be eradicated. We heard the tone shift a bit this week. Bottom line, Madam Secretary, will the president move to eradicate FEMA altogether?
No, I think the president recognizes that FEMA should not exist the way that it always has been. It needs to be redeployed in a new way, and that's what we did during this response. If you saw, it's not just FEMA that can respond in these situations. The federal government has all kinds of assets, and we deployed them. The Coast Guard coming in and saving individuals with their rescue swimmers, with their helicopters. They had fixed-wing aircraft deployed as well. Border Patrol with their BORTAC teams, and now we've got also some dog teams that are down there helping with recovery efforts, and then FEMA alongside of them helping people, setting up shelters, deploying supplies. It was all immediate, and that's what the president wants to do, is empower these states to run their emergency, and we come in and support them. And immediately, when those requests were made, they were approved and deployed.
So I just want to be very clear, and we're going to move on to deportation. The president no longer wants to eradicate FEMA, but what you're saying is to overhaul FEMA, but not eradicate it altogether.
I think he wants it to be remade so that it's an agency that is new in how it deploys and supports states.
Let me get your reaction. A federal judge in Los Angeles temporarily blocked ICE raids in Southern California, saying that federal agents cannot target people without reasonable suspicion, and using factors like skin color, the language that people speak. Will you comply with the judge's order?
Absolutely, but we've never done that. We've never done that. What we have always done is built a case and done investigative work in who we go after and who we target. And so this judge is ridiculous in the fact that he put forward a decision like this. We will appeal it and we will win it, because over and over again, when our ICE officers are out there getting the worst of the worst off of our streets, they're using the investigative backgrounds and information that they have from either criminal records or what they have for charges, or individuals who are breaking our federal laws that need to be brought to justice.
Madam Secretary, Tom Homan, the White House border czar, said as much this week. He told Fox News that physical appearance was a factor in detaining individuals. What do you say to those who hear that and say that is racial profiling?
The facts of how we do our investigations and our casework and what ICE officers are doing today is they're going out there and building a case just like other law enforcement officers do. They're going out there and doing the investigative work, gathering the information to decide how we're going to run our ops and how we're going to target individuals. And overwhelmingly, people have heard the president say over and over again about how important it is that we continue to go after the worst of the worst. This week, we've got murderers off the street, rapists, child pedophiles. If you look at that marijuana grow facility that we recently just did an operation on, over 319 individuals were brought into custody and 14 unaccompanied children that means that they don't have their parents with them. They're working in a facility where they could be exploited, trafficked, maybe sex trafficked, and then we've got individuals there who are working at the same facility who are creating, distributing, and taking advantage of children for child pornography. So this is something that President Trump has taken seriously, is protecting children while we're doing
Couple
this.
more here, if we can get them in. Florida lawmakers visited the migrant detention center in Florida, which your administration has dubbed Alligator Alcatraz. Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz said that the conditions there are inhumane, more than 30 people stuffed into a jail cell. She said they get their drinking water and they brush their teeth from the same place where they go to the bathroom. Madam Secretary, what do you say to these lawmakers who argue this is not humane treatment of individuals, of humans?
Well, our detention centers at the federal level are held to a higher standard than most local or state centers and even federal prisons. The standards are extremely high. Now, this is a state-run facility at Alligator Alcatraz, but they have a
stuffed into a jail
they have
cell?
a contrast. Well, I've been there and I've seen these rooms that they are in. I wouldn't call them jail cells. I would call them a facility where they are held and that are secure facilities, but are held to the highest levels of what the federal government requires for detention facilities.
Democrats have called them cages, though. They say
I wish they would have said that back
and
during the Biden administration and back when Democrats were in the White House and they were piling people on top of each other on cement floors and literally didn't have 2 feet to move. They never did that, and that's why this politics has to end. We took cameras in there. We will take cameras in there and show people what these facilities look like, because if you compare them to what happened under the Biden administration and under the Obama administration, these centers are...
No one in this administration has any level of competency. I don't know if you saw the video of, I think Pete Hegseth was at Turning Point USA. It was some conservative conference with, sparklers going off in front of him and the hype song and, pumping the fist. And that's what he's there for. This is a TV presidency, and we're getting TV presidency results from it, especially because it's a Fox TV presidency, which is just a lot worse, even though it's sometimes hard to imagine how it could get that way. But we are going to continue to call out this administration, and if you want to support the work we're doing, you can always hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.